Hey, Pretty Girl Club. Welcome to Pretty Girl University. Class is starting. I wanted to bring this series back because I feel like a lot of content creators, they don't seem to understand the nuances between beauty and femininity. And I've noticed that some people have what's called feminine privilege, and then there are other groups of women that do not have feminine privilege. So this series is going to be about cultivating that privilege for yourself so that you can continue to social climb. So, I've talked on this channel before about being able to pinpoint what your internalized beauty standard is. And I want you to ask the question to yourself, what is your beauty identity? When you think about a person's identity, it is their personality. Like that's a part of your identity. So, how can you incorporate your personality into your physical beauty? A lot of women they focus on beauty just externally, but if we're talking about something like feminine privilege, that's actually a mixture of your outer beauty, your inner beauty, kind of like how you interact with the world. If a woman has social anxiety, it's going to be more difficult for her to have feminine privilege, for example. But how can you incorporate your personality into your physical beauty? Remember, when it comes to beauty, you want to maintain that internal locus of control. For example, are you bright and bold? Are you bubbly and extroverted? Are you the life of the party? How can you incorporate that essence into your personal style? How can you incorporate that into your makeup looks? When I think of someone bright and bold, a cheerleader just popped into my mind. So if I wanted to show off that part of my beauty identity, I would wear a bright pleated skirt with a crop top or something. My beauty content on this channel, it's not just about physical beauty. It's about using your own physical beauty as a psychological tool to heal your inferiority complexes and heal your inner child. Have you ever noticed that some women get jealous because you like the way you look? Why do they get jealous? Well, they're jealous because you are excited about your own beauty. They're jealous because your beauty has healed your inner child. When you look in the mirror, you get excited. When she looks in the mirror, she gets frustrated, she gets stressed out. So her own image is literally causing her psychological turmoil. Her own face is a trigger to her depression. Her own body, her overweight body, her stomach, her saggy hips, or whatever she's got going on, that is literally a trigger to her depression. You guys know my theory on this. I believe that looking and feeling ugly is a form of psychological torment, it's a form of self harm. It's a form of self neglect. So that's my theory on that. But when it comes to healing your inferiority complexes through your beauty, I want you to think like, what would your childhood self think of when you think about something bright and bold? Like, let's say that's your personality. So, Barbie dolls just popped into my mind, like the original Barbies, the ones that would always have on neon colors and like the big fluffy hair. That is what my childhood self would have thought of. If I'm thinking of a bright and bold personality and how to express that outwardly, your outer beauty is an expression of your inner beauty. That's my theory. It should be an expression of your inner beauty. Your beauty can be used to express your emotions. Your beauty can be used to express your creativity. It can also be used as a tool to help you get what you want. Men use patriarchy to get what they want. So why can't we as women use the loopholes in patriarchy to get what we want? So that's another question you can ask yourself though is why do I want to be beautiful? What's the point in being beautiful? Like for me personally, I want to be beautiful because I feel like that's my personality. I'm beautiful on the inside, so why can't the outside reflect who I am on the inside? Also, I want to vibrate on the frequency of a beautiful woman. So, for those of you who believe in stuff like that, if you're kind of more of a spiritual person, if you believe in the concept of like energy and auras and all that, yeah, I'm not necessarily spiritual, but I like how I show up in the world when I look drop dead gorgeous versus how I show up in the world when I look like trash. There's a difference. There is a difference in my manifestation abilities. There's a difference in my confidence level. And for those of you who say stuff like, oh, well, you should feel just as confident even when you're ugly. Okay, well, you can do that then. So if you feel extremely confident when you look like trash and you have a mustache and you got a beard and sideburns and shit, okay, then you be confident. You don't get to project your mindset onto others. So, here on this channel, we believe that we have the right to be as beautiful as we want to be. And another reason why some women and men can be intimidated by beauty is because by claiming your right to beauty, you're also claiming your right to being visible. You are increasing your visibility with your beauty. You're increasing your privilege with beauty because, beauty is definitely a privilege. It's a way to gather attention to yourself. It's a way to subconsciously keep yourself at the forefront of someone else's mind. This is why a lot of beautiful women get recruited to do sales. But your beauty identity is not just about your face, it's also about your environment. You want as many positive triggers as possible. Just like people have negative triggers. So, you know how I said that being ugly is actually a trigger to insecurity, it's a trigger to depression, it's a trigger to inferiority complexes, being and feeling ugly. Okay, so just like there are negative triggers, there are also positive triggers. So I want to have as many positive triggers that will trigger high self esteem, confidence, feeling like I'm the shit, feeling like I'm a superstar. I want as many positive triggers as possible. So my theory is that negative triggers are what causes women to become mentally ill. So yes, that's right. Being ugly helps lead to mental illness. I said what I said. And I also believe that the reverse is true. Doing self-care, looking beautiful, meeting your own internalized beauty standard, looking in the mirror and being proud of what you've achieved in terms of your appearance, that is a trigger to being mentally healthy. It's a trigger to having more dignity, having higher self-esteem. And yes, your outer appearance is a part of your self-esteem. But some examples of beauty identity triggers can be your physical appearance, your phone or laptop wallpaper, your decorations in your apartment or your bedroom, the inside of your car, even if you're in school, the notebooks and the binders and the folders that you carry around, all of these items are a small part of your beauty identity. Every time you look at those items, it is sending a subconscious message to your brain about what you think of yourself. Every item you own, if it looks crusty, if it looks beat up, of course you're not going to feel internally beautiful. Your environment is a reflection of who you are on the inside. Your outer world is a reflection of your inner world. So once again, for those who claim to be so spiritual, okay, so then your outer world should reflect who you are inside. If I feel good inside, I want to show the world that I feel good. I also want to show myself and show my eyes that I feel good. Your eyes are one of your most powerful senses, by the way. So, for those of you who want to change your beliefs, you want to get rid of inferiority complexes, you want to get rid of insecurities, you want to trigger your eyesight in a positive way. You want to look around you and see beautiful things. You want to see a beautiful face when you look in the mirror with clear skin. You want to see beautiful teeth or whatever it is you're working on physically. That is helping to give you that positive psychological trigger. And have you ever met somebody with body dysmorphia? So I feel like one of the most common forms of body dysmorphia is when a person relies on beauty enhancements only, and then maybe when they take off the beauty enhancements, they feel ugly. So, for example, let's say you have really bad acne and you rely on wearing a lot of makeup and stuff to kind of cover it up. Well, you're only doing half the work. You want to also feel beautiful. You still want to feel physically beautiful, even when you take off the beauty enhancements, because then you won't have this inconsistent beauty identity. Have you ever met someone who has kind of this shaky self-concept? Have you ever met a girl who acts super confident when she has her sew-in done? She acts super confident when she has her braids done, but as soon as that afro comes out, as soon as she starts showing that 4C, all of that confidence is out the window. Why? It's because she did not psychologically train her brain to view her natural beauty as one of her other, triggers, like a positive trigger. Instead, her 4C hair is a negative trigger. So I want you to think about any aspects of your physical beauty that trigger negative thoughts. Is there any part of yourself where you look in the mirror and you get frustrated? So I know for me personally, weight is a really big deal for me. So it's like if I look in the mirror, if I'm flabby and saggy, if my booty is not popping, if everything looks messed up, yes, I'm going to have negative thoughts. So you want to start removing as many micro insecurities as you can. Have you ever noticed how some women say you have a superiority complex? Why are they saying that? They're saying that because your confidence and self esteem is superior to theirs. That's why they're saying it. They literally, your self esteem is so high. The way you think of yourself so highly to the point that a random person is able to notice it. And that's why they're saying, well, she thinks she's all that. Well, she thinks she's better than others. She thinks that she looks so pretty. She thinks she's cute. Okay, if anything, all you're doing is proving that that person has a high self concept, and you're proving that their energetic aura is basically so powerful to the point where you can sense that. You can sense that power. And by the way, beauty is a form of social power. So, depending on your personality type, I'm an ENTJ. Us ENTJs, we love having power, we love having control. Okay, so one of my healthier ways to exercise power and control is by doing that when it comes to my own body. So, yes, I enjoy every minute of being beautiful. Hell yeah, I enjoy every single compliment. I enjoy every single smile that a person gives me. Oh, and by the way, if you haven't seen the rest of my beauty series, what you can do to kind of like build that confidence up and kind of build up your beauty pedestal, I want you to start memorizing the compliments that you receive. And you can start journaling them, start writing them down. So if you go to the grocery store and somebody says, I like your shirt, go back home and journal that. And then you can make that a part of your affirmations. I look good in blue crop tops. I look good with my hair curly. I look good with my hair in an updo. Whatever compliments you're receiving, you want to soak that up as much as possible. That's a part of enjoying your beauty. That's a part of your social power. Actually, one thing I want you to think about right now, what are the top 5 compliments that you receive about your beauty? Is it your hair that a lot of people compliment you on? Is it your complexion? Is it your teeth and your smile? Like I know for me, it's my complexion, my smile, my eyes. Think of whatever features or whatever aspects of your beauty you get complimented on, even if it's a beauty enhancement. Your lashes, maybe you do fake lashes, but people compliment them. Okay, that's still a part of your beauty pedestal because you have really good beauty skills. Or maybe you have good financial discipline and you're able to get your lashes done professionally. So, all of those things are contributing to building your beauty pedestal. I believe that if you're walking around this world feeling ugly, if you're walking around feeling like every other girl is prettier than you, imagine how tormenting that is. That must be like a social hell. A lot of women are living in a social hell. And that's why they have so much social anxiety. They think everybody's colorist, texturist, featurist. Nobody likes them. They're nobody's preference. Men don't like them. Women don't like them. Society doesn't like them. Everybody hates their hair texture. That is a mental hell. That sounds extremely exhausting. That sounds very exhausting to wake up in the morning and to be meditating on how much everybody hates my physical features. That sounds horrible. So, in order to get out of that social hell, I would rather focus on the positive aspects of myself. And then if I have any micro insecurities, I have no choice but to either change myself to fit my internal beauty standard or stay mad. That's it. Those are the only 2 choices you have. Either be beautiful or stay mad. The society we live in is extremely biased. Society treats beautiful women better than women that they feel are repulsive and ugly and disgusting. I'm just being honest. Society is extremely shallow. Our society gives unfair advantages to those who have certain privileges. So it's like, okay, if I can't access some privileges, let's say you're a woman of color, okay, so you're never going to have white privilege. But if you have pretty privilege, why would I choose to not access a privilege that I literally can access if I want to? Being ugly is actually a bad social strategy. That's a bad way to social climb. And when I use when I use that phrase, social climbing, by the way, the Exotical space has popularized that term. So if you hear any other content creators talking about things like privilege stacking, social climbing, etc., those phrases were popularized over here. But when I use the phrase social climbing, what I'm talking about is having the social life and the social status that benefits you. So everybody cares about status. So coming onto my channel lying, pretending like, oh, status is not a big deal. No, it is a big deal. That's why you have a job. You care about your job status. That's why you have a paycheck. That's why you save your money. You care about your socioeconomic status. That's why you moved out of the ghetto and moved into a nice neighborhood. You care about your status. So beauty is a form of status. It's a very simple, very low barrier to entry form of status. And I believe that every woman has the right to be beautiful. And don't let other people tell you that you're doing too much, because guess what? It's your life, it's your body, it's your choice. You have the right to be as beautiful as you want to be. You have the right to be as visible as you want. One of the main jealousy triggers that women get when it comes to beauty, their main jealousy trigger is that another woman spent more time or more money or whatever investing in her own beauty. That's the main reason people get so jealous of celebrities, because you're internally jealous and angry that she spent $10,000 on a boob job, or you're mad that she is on Ozempic. You're mad that she spent all this money on weave. She dyed her hair. She relaxed her hair. Whatever it is that she did to invest in her beauty. She changed herself. Maybe she got plastic surgery. Maybe she looks like a totally different person now, like Kylie Jenner or something. A lot of women are jealous because they themselves, they either don't have the resources to change whatever their micro insecurities are when it comes to beauty, or they have placed these rules and limiting beliefs on themselves. So they're not allowed to get a surgery. They're not allowed to get Botox. They're not allowed to get fillers. They're not allowed to get a tummy tuck or a weight loss surgery. That goes against their own standards or morals. Okay, so that sounds like an internal problem to me. If you have a moral problem with makeup and beauty enhancements, okay, that's fine, but you don't get to project that onto others. You don't get to control other people's beauty identity. So like I said, either meet your internalized beauty standard or stay mad. Have you ever met a woman who's frustrated with society's beauty standards? Why is she frustrated? Well, it's because she doesn't meet those beauty standards. That's why. I have never met a woman who actually meets society's beauty standards. She actually has pretty privilege, but then she's upset about pretty privilege. Never. The only women I've ever seen who get mad about beauty and beauty standards and, they try to intellectualize it by calling it desirability politics. The only women I've ever seen get upset about that are women who do not meet those beauty standards. They are not desirable. That's why they're mad that other women are desirable. They don't have pretty privilege. That's why they resent the women that do have it. So another part of building your beauty identity is to ask yourself, what limitations do I feel I have placed on myself in terms of beauty? Like, is there anything about beauty that I'm scared of? I'm scared to lose weight. I'm scared to put on a crop top. I'm scared to put on a bikini. Whatever it is, I'm scared to wear red lipstick. I told you guys my stories about red lipstick, about the color yellow, about hair highlights. So I had these limiting beliefs basically to where I felt like I was betraying my blackness if I wore blonde highlights. Like that was one of them. And it was because I valued my black identity more than I valued my beauty identity. And, one is not better than the other. There is no wrong way to shape your identity, but you have a choice. You get to choose. Okay, what's most important to me? What are the top 5 aspects of my identity? Is beauty a priority to me, or do I feel like beauty is kind of lower on the totem pole? Once I finally accepted the fact that beauty is important to me, that was when I was able to finally just embrace who I am. Some women, they haven't come out yet. They're in the closet. They're in the closet when it comes to their beauty identity. So have you ever met somebody who dresses very homely? Or maybe this is you. You've always dressed very homely. You've always dressed like a grandma, but deep down inside, you want to be like this sexy siren, but you feel like people will laugh at you. Have you ever felt like you're too old to wear a certain style? Like, oh, I'm in my 30s. I can't wear that. I'm in my 40s. I can't pull that off. I'm in my 50s. I can't dye my hair blue. Okay, so that's kind of like a limiting belief. You're saying that your age limits your beauty. You're saying that your age stops you from being able to dye your hair a certain color. You're saying that your race or your skin tone disqualifies you from being able to have blonde beauty, if that makes sense. Like, oh, I can't wear highlights because that means I'm trying to be white. No, that's actually a meaning that you gave it. That's a message that somebody else told you. That's something that a hotep told you. Or that's something that, a black supremacist or Asian supremacist or whatever, that's something that people from your racial group told you. So that's why you feel like wearing blonde hair is a betrayal to your people group. Another reason why some people get triggered by beauty is because beauty is also viewed as a form of rebellion. Like, how dare you come in here with that short skirt on? How dare you get a surgery and now you look better than me? How dare you get weight loss surgery or something? How dare you get a tummy tuck after you had a baby? I'm over here running 5 miles and doing all these sit ups and trying to wear a corset so I can get my tummy tucked back in. How dare you take a shortcut? A lot of people, part of the reason they're against beauty enhancements in particular, so makeup, waxing, I don't know, like surgery, stuff like that. Part of why they're against that is because they feel like that's a form of rebelling. It's a form of cheating because you're using your financial privilege to build your pretty privilege. But remember, the same people that talk shit about how much money you spent on your beauty, those same people, if they won the lottery today, the first thing they would do is go get a makeover. The first thing they would do is go get their hair done. But another thing that you want to keep in mind when it comes to beauty is that beauty is actually in the details. A lot of women make the mistake of only focusing on their hair and makeup. Those are not the only aspects of beauty. Okay? It goes body is number one. Well, for me personally, in terms of priorities, it goes my body's number one. If my body looks like shit, nobody else cares. Like, I don't care about how good my hair looks if my body looks like trash. I don't care how good my makeup looks if my body looks crusty. So for me, it's body is number one, hair is number two, face, kind of makeup and all that is number three. So beauty is in the details. It's not just about one or two things. But a lot of women, they make the mistake of only focusing on wigs and makeup, and they neglect everything else in their lives. They neglect everything else when it comes to their beauty identity. They don't have any uniqueness about their beauty. Have you ever met somebody who's basic? I call them basic Bettys. So they just look like a twin of everybody else in a bad way, not in a good way. There's nothing about their beauty that stands out. One of the main aspects of beauty is that you stand out. If you don't stand out, you don't have pretty privilege. I'm sorry to break it to you. If you blend in with the crowd and you feel invisible, or you're constantly feeling overlooked, oh, everybody's choosing the Latinas, everybody's choosing the light-skinned girl, everybody's choosing the mixed girl. Okay, so you don't have pretty privilege then. Because anybody who has pretty privilege, it's going to transcend something like skin tone. Beauty is not defined by skin tone. But another thing you have to remember too, when it comes to beauty, is that you want to have multiple sources of micro validation, multiple sources of feminine expression, and also multiple sources of beauty. So that's why it's important for me to have both natural beauty as well as enhanced beauty. So that when I take the enhancement off, when I take the wig off, my hair is still down my back. When I take the makeup off, my skin is still clear. So it's like a way of taking back my power. The more sources of beauty you have for yourself, it's kind of like having multiple streams of income. You want to have multiple sources of beauty because that's going to give you more of a sense of social power. You have more power over your body. You've got discipline over your body. And then you've also got the social status that comes with being thin, or I don't know, maybe you have long, healthy hair. Okay, that's also a privilege as well. So now you're going to have people looking up to you. You could start a whole company. Do you know how many women have started a multi-million-dollar company selling hair oils because they simply have long hair privilege? That's what I'm talking about when I talk about privilege stacking. I'm talking about using one privilege to lead to another. So your social power opens doors for you. It opens the doors for you to create more finances for yourself. This is another reason why women get mad at pretty privileged women, because they feel like pretty privileged women have access to higher earning men, which does tend to be true on average, because I've never seen a high earning man go out of his way to find someone ugly. So, that's why they're actually mad about your pretty privilege. It's because that privilege can be stacked. It's kind of like one of the foundational privileges as a woman that helps you to kind of stack the other ones. But let's get back to the talking point of having positive beauty triggers. So I want everything in my surroundings to be beautiful. I want my apartment to be beautiful, the inside of my car. I want the background on my phone and laptop to be a part of my feminine expression. Beauty is a part of your feminine expression. So that's another thing too. Femininity is not a monolith. You might notice that I'm using the words beauty and femininity interchangeably in this video. Well, that's because I believe your beauty expression is a part of your personal femininity. And by the way, Femininity is subjective because if you look up the Chat GPT version of femininity, and I'm talking about feminine privilege, not feminine in terms of gender, but it says on Chat GPT that it refers to a set of qualities, behaviors, roles, and attributes that are culturally associated with being female or feminine. So this is where I start to get more into things like feminine archetypes. So throughout history, and like if you look in every culture, they've got all kinds of folklore and urban legends about different types of femininity. There's like the 1950s housewife. That's kind of like what the trad wife movement is inspired by. There's the siren, there are mermaids, elves, whatever it is that sparks your curiosity or that makes you feel feminine. That's going to be an aspect of your feminine identity. And I've noticed a lot of content creators on YouTube, they have what I call male centered femininity. So it's like, oh, you're only feminine depending on how a man sees you. So if a man chooses you, if this rich man thinks you're feminine, then you're feminine. If men don't think you're feminine, then you're not feminine. No, that's actually called feminine privilege. That's what I would call that. So having the ability to be seductive, that would be a part of feminine privilege. Being seductive, that's actually a form of magnetism. Beauty is magnetic. That's why so many people are jealous of it. That's why so many people are enraged by it. That's why insecure men actually get enraged by women who have beauty because they know that beauty is magnetic. That's why they say things like you are attractive. Yeah, because magnets attract. That means you're magnetic. Anytime somebody calls you attractive, that is proof that you are magnetic. And when you're seducing, like if you're seducing someone or if you are, seduction is really also a form of persuasion. It doesn't just have to be sexual and male centered. Let's get out of this mindset that everything's male centered. Seduction, oh, it's male centered. Femininity, male centered. Beauty, male centered. No, not on this channel. So seduction is also about magnetism. It's about kind of strategically choosing who you want to attract to you. And it's also about manipulating people's perceptions of you. So, for example, manipulation. If you have a bad relationship with manipulation, you're not going to be able to seduce anybody because you don't believe in manipulation. Your Christianity or whatever your spiritual beliefs are, it tells you that manipulation is bad. Okay, this is why you see a lot of religious and spiritual women who are unable to be seductive. It's because they have this core belief. They have kind of this limiting belief that manipulation is always bad. Manipulation is not always bad. Makeup is a form of manipulation. Wearing a girdle, wearing a corset, wearing a bra, that's a form of manipulation. Your boobs don't sit that high. Your stomach is not that flat. You manipulated other people's perception of you by wearing certain clothing. That's a form of charm. Whenever people use that term charm, like, oh, she's charming, or, her personality is very charming. Yeah, charming, that has to do with seduction. They're basically saying there's something about you that they can't put their finger on. You're able to charm them. You attract them. You're magnetic. You magnetize them with your beauty, your personality, your smile. So if you want to build up your beauty identity in terms of charm, seduction, and magnetism, once again, you can think about what people compliment you on. Have you ever seduced someone unwittingly? Like maybe you didn't know you were seducing them. Have you ever seduced them with your lips, for example? Maybe people comment on your lips like, oh, you have very sexy lips. That would be an example of you seducing the opposite sex. Another example of seduction is that maybe you have one particular physical feature or quality where other people keep staring at it. So like maybe you cause people to lose their train of thought when you flip your hair. Okay, that's an example of your hair being a certain quality about you that's charming. Or, maybe it's your smile, your eyes, whatever. So again, you want to journal that. You want to write that down because it'll help you to build up that stronger beauty pedestal for yourself. Because when it comes to pedestals, you want to have a goal with your beauty. Like, okay, is my goal mental health? Like that's one of my goals with my beauty. It's to be mentally healthy. And it is to enjoy the social power and to soak up all of the pretty privilege. Yes, I'm going to be soaking up attention. For those who get mad about that, oh, they're soaking up the attention. They're outshining people. Yes, bitch. And I love it. And I'm going to continue to do it. So whatever your goals are, you want to keep that in mind when you're building your beauty identity. So for example, a part of the reason why I have a fluid beauty standard is because I noticed an increase in my personal pedestal when I changed up my looks. So instead of just sticking to one signature look, long black curly hair, kind of no makeup or whatever, instead of just sticking to that, when I decided to become fluid with my beauty, so, changing up my hair color, playing around with different extensions, playing around with bangs, whatever. When I decided to do that, I noticed that my pedestal seemed to increase because there are some people who are not seduced by long black curly hair. There are some people where maybe that's not something that captures their attention as much. So if you happen to switch it up one day and maybe it's red, now you're magnetizing the people who are charmed by red hair. So do you see how you're able to tap in to multiple aspects of beauty? Or at least for me, that's what I like to do. And that just has to do with my own personal goals. But, that's something you want to think about. What is your beauty strategy? Do you want to be a model? Do you want to be an actress? Do you want to post pretty pictures on Instagram or on a dating app or something? Whatever it is, you want to start to think about that because that's going to help you determine your beauty goals. What are your beauty goals? Think about whoever you find the most beautiful. Those women are your beauty goals. Whose beauty are you jealous of? That's your beauty standard. Okay? If you get triggered by skinny women, if you get triggered by straight white teeth, if you're triggered by long natural hair, okay, that's your beauty standard. So have you ever met someone and maybe they have some beautiful qualities and you felt like they were conceited? Like, oh, she thinks she's all that because of XYZ beauty. Okay, so what is it? She thinks she's all that because of what? Weight loss? I noticed that's a really huge trigger for like 90% of women. 90% of women will literally cut off their female friends because, she lost weight. So now you can't hang out with her anymore because she's making you look fat. Okay, just admit that being thin or being at a healthy weight is your internalized beauty standard. Also, I want to touch on feminine privilege. So I want to make it clear that femininity, that's not just about material things. It's not just about your outer appearance. Okay, you don't have to be rich. You don't have to purchase anything. You can have what I call beauty hobbies or feminine hobbies. So beauty hobbies will help you tap into your outer beauty, while feminine hobbies help you tap into your inner beauty. Okay? And when it comes to inner beauty, I feel like a lot of people, they spiritualize it. They make it about morals and all that. Okay, this channel is not religious. So when I talk about inner beauty, I'm also talking about seduction. I'm also talking about your ability to be strategic, your ability to be cutthroat, your ability to cut people off or, kind of create like this bubble around yourself, this force field around yourself energetically. So for example, your friendships, having strategic friendships, that actually is a form of creating a shield around yourself. Have you ever met somebody who talks about their traumas of not being asked out in high school or, the popular girls were the Exoticals and then they were just overlooked? Okay, why are they upset? They're upset because the popular Exotical was strategic enough to build kind of like this energetic force field around her of friendships. A true friend will defend you. A true friend will try to protect you emotionally. A true friend cares about you. So even stuff like that, all of that is actually a part of your feminine privilege because you're able to charm other women into becoming your friend. You're able to use things like compliments or I don't know, whatever it is, your hobbies. You're a multifaceted person. You're a multicultural person. So you're able to fit in with people from all these different backgrounds. And that's what gets you the promotion at work. That's what gets you all these friendships. And then, you'll see other women getting mad. It's because those women don't have feminine privilege. A part of feminine privilege is how you deal with another woman's femininity. How do you get along with other women? Have you learned what your hater archetype is and what your friendship type is? Because that's a part of increasing your feminine privilege. If you're constantly around your hater type, what type of woman usually hates on you? Tall, short, black, white, old, young, what? Rich, poor? That's something you want to think about. Whoever your hater archetype is, you want to go for the opposite of that when it comes to friendships. If you know that 90% of your haters are women who are obese, which is the case for me, then, I know that if I'm in a room full of women and I want to make new friends, I'm not going to go for the obese woman as my first choice of being a friend. I'm just being honest. I'm not going to. All of that is a part of your feminine privilege, knowing how to navigate in feminine spaces. knowing how to create feminine alliances, aka friendships. The exotical space is actually a great representation of that. We've got a lot of feminine women who have created these YouTube alliances. That's a part of feminine privilege. They're able to create feminine alliances even on the internet. They don't even have to be in person. That's how far their feminine privilege goes. So a part of how I increase my feminine privilege is through my feminine hobbies. So, you get to choose whatever hobby you want to choose, whichever one helps you tap into your version of femininity. So, for example, one of my hobbies that helps me feel very feminine is yoga. Yoga is a great way for me to let out my sensual feminine energy because honestly, I feel very sexy when I'm doing yoga. You know how people say that the body keeps the score and that trauma can be stored in your hips? I know that's kind of an urban legend, but honestly, that is something that yoga has helped me with. It makes me feel very feminine and sexy without being male centered because you don't need a man to do yoga. Do you see how that's a decentered version of tapping into femininity? Some women, they lack feminine privilege because their femininity is male centered. So if they're not getting male attention, they don't feel feminine. They feel masculine now. This is why you see some women feeling masculine from something as silly as wearing pants or having short hair, having a short afro. Oh my God, I'm masculine now because my hair is not long. Okay, who told you that? Where'd you get that from? Sounds like that came from the male gaze. Oh, well, when my hair is short, I look like a man. Okay, that's still male centered. You're comparing yourself to men. That's male centered. So, do you see how being male centered actually hinders your femininity because you start to think that femininity is a monolith? Femininity is just being the opposite of a man. Femininity is being desirable to a man. Femininity is being picked by a rich man. Femininity is being picked by a white man. Do you see how incredibly male centered that is? Do you see how much of an external locus of control that is? So, this is why it's very important to build feminine hobbies that are not male centered. But a part of why yoga makes me feel feminine and sexy is because yoga promotes mind body awareness. Have you ever been disconnected from your own body? Like you're just in your head 24/7? That's a very chaotic type of energy. And there's something about yoga that's very calming for me. It's like I'm nurturing each body part. I personally associate nurturing with my femininity. That's a part of the version of femininity that I want to exude. I want to be a nurturing person. So the way that I practice my femininity is by nurturing myself. So it's very calming for me. I'm stretching myself out. Not to mention the fact that I feel very sensual and sexy when I'm doing all the difficult poses. So do you see how I'm able to tap into my femininity just using a very basic hobby that's free? You can do it at home. Yoga. I feel feminine when I'm sitting there in child's pose with my hips spread out and like my boobs are on the ground. I feel like yoga just makes me very aware of my feminine parts. I think that's what it is for me. So it is a positive trigger. It's a positive feminine trigger. It feels like I'm connecting with my own body. So one time a few months ago, I was having my own self-care day. I put on a pink yoga outfit. I put my hair in a high ponytail with my curly hair hanging down. I put on a pink puffy coat because it was cold and cloudy that day. I got my pink yoga mat, my pink water bottle, and I went down to the park and I literally did yoga by myself at the park. Why did I do yoga at the park? Why didn't I do yoga at home by myself? Well, that brings me to my next point, which is visibility. Feeling visible, feeling seen and heard, that is a part of my feminine identity. I'm already physically visible because of pretty privilege, but I also want to feel emotionally visible. I want other people to be able to see me expressing my emotional state. So, me doing yoga, that's actually me expressing my emotional state. I am expressing the fact that I'm calm, I'm relaxed, I'm being zen or whatever. So, when I was doing yoga at the park, I felt very relaxed. I felt rich. For whatever reason, doing yoga, it just makes me feel rich. I think it's because I associate yoga with being able to afford a yoga studio and kind of like being wealthier or more affluent. But the reason I did yoga at the park was because I wanted other people to see me demonstrating on a public platform, the park, that it's safe to do this here. So yeah, that's actually a form of me claiming my right to visibility. Number one, I wanted to touch grass. That's really a part of what it was. But you can touch grass in your front yard. You can touch grass at your apartment complex on the sidewalk. But I'm honest and transparent enough with myself to admit that no, I like being at the park because I'm also surrounded by that energy of other people doing self care as well. The park is a hub for people doing self care because that's where people go when they're walking their dogs, when they're going on a walk, kind of meditating. People, they go and go running at the park. They do sit ups at the park. They have meetups at the park. So the park is actually a positive trigger for me. So for some people, the park is a negative trigger because maybe the park in their neighborhood was bad or that's where violence happens. Okay, so don't go to that park. Go to a park in a nice area or go somewhere where you feel positive, where you can soak up the positive energy that's in that geographical location, if that makes sense. But another thing that I was doing when I was doing yoga at the park by myself is overcoming the fear of being seen. A lot of women are too embarrassed to do yoga in the park by themselves because, your booty's in the air. People could be looking at you. So I get it. And the park that I was at, it was actually a trail. So like there was a trail where people did walking and running, and I was off to the side on the grass doing yoga. I had never seen anyone doing yoga by themselves at that particular park. So by me choosing that specific spot, that was also a way of expressing my creativity, which is a huge key to your feminine identity. I was expressing my creativity because I was the first one to do yoga at that park. I had never seen anyone do yoga on the side of a trail. I've never seen that. So by me choosing that specific spot, that was me tapping into a key of my feminine identity. Side note, other women actually started copying me and doing yoga in the same spot. So at first I was triggered, like, hey, why are they copying me? This is my idea. But when you're the one with the creativity privilege, the feminine privilege, the pretty privilege, people are going to copy you. That's actually a sign that you're the one with the privilege. They're following the leader. You're the leader. So doing a workout in a public place is like a small way for me to kind of practice overcoming the fear of being seen. It's another positive psychological trigger. It's like a form of exposure therapy. You know how some women have felt invisible their whole lives? Well, yeah, you're going to keep feeling invisible if you never overcome the fear of being seen. So the way you overcome that is by gradually being seen more and more. It's by starting the YouTube channel. It's by starting your business. It's by revamping your Instagram or posting the pictures or whatever. Doing the presentation at work, doing yoga in the park, going running in public. I used to not go running outside because I was literally just scared of being seen. I was scared of the cars driving by me. I had trauma from being sexually harassed and stuff when I used to go running before. But do not allow men, that's still male-centered because you're allowing your traumas with men to control your future. Don't do that. That's male-centered. So doing a workout in a public place, that's like a small way to overcome the fear of being seen. It's a positive psychological trigger. It's a form of exposure therapy. And also, by me doing yoga in public, first of all, I had to accept the fact that I'm good enough at yoga. Like, hey, my yoga practice is valid and it's good enough for me to feel comfortable being seen in a public place doing it. Also, I had to feel valid in being alone. Like, hey, I don't need anybody else out here at the park with me in order for me to do my yoga. I don't need anybody else here with me. So that's a form of overcoming the fear of being seen alone. Some people have the fear of being by themselves. They have a fear of being single. They have a fear of being seen being single, fear of rejection, all of these different fears and limiting beliefs. And we'll probably talk more about this on the Patreon. But all of these different limiting beliefs, the more you overcome those, the more privilege you're going to be able to tap into. Have you ever met someone who is not that talented? They're not that gifted, but because they're the only one that's practicing their craft, they get more visibility. Or maybe they just use their pretty privilege to help them gain visibility. Ice Spice, Tyla. So those two women, they're not necessarily the most talented singers in the world or the most talented rappers in the world. They're not Whitney Houston. They're not Kendrick Lamar. But guess what? They don't have a fear of being seen. So overcoming that particular limiting belief, the fear of being seen and the fear of rejection, those women, they don't have the fear of rejection. That's why they don't give a fuck. They're able to come on stage and rap about poop. They don't care that people are going to talk shit because they have overcome this fear of rejection when it comes to their creative expression. So being able to overcome all that stuff, that actually tremendously helps you. It actually helps your visibility to go up. It helps your pedestal to be built even further. But do you see how all of that stuff, the yoga, overcoming the fear of being seen, all of that is still tapping into my beauty identity because I'm expressing a part of my personality. I'm expressing my emotions. So doing the yoga, that helps tone my body. So that's literally helping my beauty. It's helping my back posture. So I look good when I'm walking around in heels. It is stretching me out so that I can be more flexible. Flexibility can help you as a woman. It can help you when it comes to things like sex. It can help you when it comes to things like having a better workout. You don't get injured as much. So it's helping me get in tune with my body parts, which will help me when it comes to things like dancing. All of those things are a part of your beauty identity. The only difference is that it's inner beauty as opposed to outer beauty. Your inner beauty, like I view inner beauty as kind of an umbrella. And under that umbrella, you've got your personality type, you've got your charm, you've got your flirting style, you've got your seduction style, you've got your social climbing skills, you've got your strategy. I view all of that as underneath the umbrella of inner beauty. And then inner beauty, I view that as under the umbrella of femininity or feminine privilege. So just remember, the way I view it is your beauty identity is about outer beauty, while your feminine identity is tied to your inner beauty, like the essence of who you are. Who are you? You should be able to answer that question. Who are you? Another random thing about yoga, by the way, is that it's like a form of soft exercise. So it's not it's not high intensity. I'm not sprinting. I'm not running up mountains. It's almost like yoga is kind of like a recovery workout. So I'm recovering and restoring my body. I'm bringing restoration and life back into my muscles. We already know that women bring life into this world. So it makes sense that it helps me tap into my femininity by, bringing this into my own body, kind of recovering my own muscles. But going back to your beauty identity, it is actually shaped by your memories. Your memories are actually a big part of who you are. Did you know that? That's what PTSD is. PTSD is really just you have a whole bunch of bad memories, and those bad memories pop up in your head, and then it begins to affect your life. It begins to shape your life. My theory is that women with PTSD also have a hard time tapping into their beauty and femininity. I've talked about this. I talked about the fear of being seen, being scared of your own beauty due to PTSD of being SA'd. I even have an episode about pretty girl PTSD. So some women, they're afraid of beauty because they're afraid of the jealousy that comes with them being beautiful. But that's when you have to learn how to be socially strategic. That's when you have to learn how to alchemize jealousy. So all of those things are really just skills you can learn because it's not worth being ugly just to prevent jealousy. Like, no, I'd rather deal with other women being jealous of me than deal with the problems of being ugly. Pick a struggle. Which struggle do you want? The struggles of having haters or the struggles of being fugly? But I want you to think about the times when you feel the most beautiful and the most feminine. Like, what are you doing? What makes you feel the most feminine, for example? What just popped up in your head? When I use that term feminine hobbies, what pops up in your head? Is it flowers, like arranging flowers? Is it going on a walk? Is it walking around sipping a latte? By the way, I'm just naming all the things that are popping up in my head. Walking around sipping a latte, reading a book outside, just being outside, sitting down, looking pretty, sitting pretty, relaxing and lounging by the pool in a beautiful bikini. So those are all the things that just popped up in my head when I just used that phrase, feminine hobbies. So everybody's going to have a different answer, and there is no wrong answer because your identity is personal. Nobody gets to control your self expression. So you can think about when you felt the most feminine. What were you doing? Where were you? What geographical location were you in? And remember, think about when you felt the most feminine without the presence of a man. When did you feel feminine when you were by yourself? Okay, was it when you were reading a book? Was it when you were in a book club? Was it when you were doing a fashion show? Were you going thrifting? Like, what were you doing? What made you feel feminine? Is it when you wake up in the morning, You're putting on your makeup, you're kind of pampering yourself, going to the spa. And then you can ask yourself about your beauty identity. When do you feel the most beautiful? Look back into your memories. Look back into your positive memories of when you felt the most beautiful. Was it on your wedding day? Was it on your birthday? Was it on your graduation? Was it after you got your makeup done? Because if so, that means that makeup, that's going to be important to you. That's going to be a big part of your beauty identity. When did you feel the most beautiful? Was it when your hair was done? Was it when your hair was healthy? How much did you weigh? Okay, what was your skin looking like? What was your environment looking like? A memory actually just popped up of myself wearing a tube top with cartoon characters on it, and me going to a Latin market. Like those two things just popped up in my head, those two memories. Okay, so let me psychoanalyze myself. Why would an image pop up of myself with me in a cartoon shirt? Why didn't an image pop up of me in an evening gown or with professionally done makeup? It's because my brain associates my beauty with being able to express my personality. So the tube top I was wearing that day, the little t-shirt with the little cartoons on it, that made me feel beautiful that day because I felt unique. I've never seen anybody else with that exact t-shirt on, with all the smiley faces on it or all the little, comic book characters on it. So that lets me know that a part of my personal beauty identity is being unique, being able to express my hobbies and interests via my clothing. So in real life, I like nostalgic cartoons, I like stuff like that. So it's not just about the fashion and clothing part, it's about the subliminal message that the clothing sends. Another memory I have of that specific t-shirt that just popped up in my head is when I wore that top, literally every time I wore my little cartoon character tube top, people would compliment me. It was almost as if my beauty expression was making me magnetic. And that's how you know you're tapping into your true beauty identity. It's not about being the most dressed up or following what everyone else is doing. This is why some women wear wigs and makeup and whatever, lashes, big ass, long ass nails, and they still feel basic. Why? Because that's not their true beauty identity expression. They're just performing. That they view beauty and femininity as more of a performance as opposed to viewing it as an expression. So you want to get out of the mindset of performing. Remember, you want to remove that external locus of control. You're not performing for anybody. This is your beauty. This is your femininity. It's your identity. You get to be creative in how you express it. So you don't have to copy what everybody else is doing. You don't have to copy the trends. So do you see how your own memories will tell you what your beauty identity is? Every time I wear that cartoon t-shirt crop top, good things happen. I remember actually one time I had to stop at the store that day when I was wearing that shirt, and it was so hot that day. I was walking down the street, and I specifically remember I had my hair in a high bun with my curls kind of coming out of the bun. I had my t-shirt on and these combat boots. But as I was walking through the parking lot, I was in a grocery store in the hood. I remember this older black lady, she was driving by and she slowed down her car and she literally paused right next to me. And I was thinking, okay, I'm walking through the hood with a freaking cartoon shirt on. I have on, pants and combat boots. First of all, I was not dressed for the weather because it was like 90 degrees. Who wears combat boots in 90-degree weather? Apparently me. But I remember when this lady stopped, I thought she was going to yell and tell me to get out of the way in the parking lot. But she was like, "You are so pretty." And I remember being kind of shocked, like, really? People think this is pretty? I kind of thought I looked like a weirdo a little bit, Like, I walked into the grocery store too. And then I remember there were these other two girls working in that store. They were teenagers. And they were both kind of whispering when I walked in. And then one of them was like, "Your outfit is so cute." So do you see how your memories of your outfit or, your memories of your skin or your memories of your hair being a certain style, do you see how your memories actually tell you what your beauty identity is? Because beauty makes you magnetic. And also, your beauty may not fit in with whatever the trends are. In fact, if it doesn't fit in with the most popular trends, that's actually a sign that it's probably more authentic to who you are. I had never seen anybody else wear a cartoon t-shirt with combat boots and long pants, but because I was being authentic to myself, I was basically leaving an energetic imprint of my beauty identity, which made me stand out. It literally seemed like people were obsessed with my t-shirt that day. And it was a basic cotton, like cartoon t-shirt. It was not expensive. So I want you to look back into your memories. Think about the times where your beauty was magnetic. And it doesn't have to be about clothes. You know, when do you feel like your beauty is the most magnetic? Is it during a certain time of the month? Because that's my ovulation time for me. That's when I feel like a goddess, is when I'm ovulating. But do you have any items that make you feel more lucky than usual? You know how some girls are like, "Oh, this is my lucky bra." Okay, well, what it really is that bra that she's wearing, it's helping her tap into her beauty identity. That bra, the structure of it, the shape of it, the design of it, it's helping her to connect with who she truly is in terms of like her femininity. So that's why a lot of people, they feel kind of magical when they're wearing a certain item. So for you, is it, a certain perfume? Do you feel super magnetic when you have this perfume on? Is it a certain lipstick? Is it after you take a certain kind of bath? Maybe there's a pair of shoes where you seem to always get attention in those shoes. You feel powerful when you have those shoes on. That's kind of how I feel about my combat boots. That's why I just mentioned them. I don't know why, but I feel like platform shoes in general, they make me feel very magnetic. Maybe it's because I'm already tall. So when I put on the shoes, I'm even taller, like 6 feet tall. But when it comes to your beauty identity, I believe that beauty, it's not just about accessories. It is an energy. It's kind of like you're vibrating on the frequency of beauty. That's just the best way I can describe it. I'm not telling you to worship beauty, but that's the best language I can use to describe it. And this is why you see women who are all done up on the outside. Their hair and makeup is done, their nails are done, but they still don't have feminine privilege. They still get called masculine. They still get called aggressive. They still don't get the princess treatment. Why? It's because they do not have the energetic signature of beauty. Their actual energy, who they are, their actual presence, it's not radiating beauty. It's not giving beauty. It's not giving magnetism. By the way, having social anxiety cancels out your magnetism. And I believe that traumas are what lead to the social anxiety. So if you've got colorism, texturism, featurism trauma, and now you've got social anxiety, guess what? Now that social anxiety is canceling out your magnetism. You can't walk into a room full of white people anymore and just be a normal person. Because now you are scared. You're literally scared of white people. You're scared of racism. You're scared of black men because you're scared of colorism. You're scared of texturism. You're scared that these people won't accept you. So do you see how it all goes back once again to that external locus of control? The fear of rejection, fearing what other people think of you. That's external locus of control. What will they think of my hair in a 4C afro? What will they think of me with no makeup? What does he think of me? Is he colorist? Oh my God, everybody in this room is black. Okay, so now I have culture shock. Now I have social anxiety because these people aren't going to accept me. So all of that, it can kind of cancel out your magnetism. But again, you can be strategic. That's where your social strategy comes in. Go where you're celebrated. So remember the hater archetype? I talked about the hater archetype versus the people that love you, that archetype. So you want to hang out with the people who respect your pedestal. And going back to the talking point about having beauty and being magnetic, have you ever heard women use that phrase, "Oh, this guy has big D energy"? What they're saying is he has a masculine essence. He has the energetic signature of masculine privilege. So having beauty is the same concept. She has pretty privilege energy. So I never believe these women when they brag about how, oh, I have so much pretty privilege. Oh, I'm the blueprint. I look the best or whatever. And it's like, okay, but you're not radiating it because your lifestyle, you have been unable to manifest the lifestyle that you wanted to manifest via your beauty. So therefore, I could make the argument that no, you actually do not feel beautiful. No, you don't think you're pretty because you're not living your life or operating as a pretty woman. But another part of your beauty identity is your preferences. What are your beauty preferences? What type of beauty do you prefer? Skinny, thick, slim, thick, I don't know, tall, short, wearing high heels, kind of a professional beauty like office siren, something else. Have you ever noticed that some women have a hard time expressing their beauty, it's because they do not give themselves the freedom to identify their own internalized beauty preferences. They have a bad relationship with the word preference. That word in and of itself is an actual trigger. So they think that by preferring one thing over the other, that's racism, that's colorism, that's texturism. If I prefer blonde highlights on my hair because it complements my complexion, oh, I'm a racist now. I'm a white supremacist for having blonde highlights. So do you see how having a bad relationship with the word preference, that actually can hinder your beauty, because now you can't even determine your beauty preferences because you think that having beauty preferences is a betrayal to somebody else. Preferring blonde highlights does not make you racist, but some women hinder their own beauty so they can prove to the world that they're a good person. I'm only going to wear my 4C afro so I can prove that I'm pro-black. I'm only going to wear no makeup so I can prove that I love myself with no makeup. So, and I mean, I'm not saying that that's wrong if that's genuinely who you are, but for most people, I have noticed it does tend to be a performance, because if you're not wearing makeup, why would you get mad at women who do wear makeup then? If you genuinely enjoy not wearing any makeup at all, if you love how you look with no makeup, then why do you get mad when women do wear makeup? If you genuinely love just only wearing your 4C afro, then why do you get mad when women relax their hair? Why do you get mad when they have a different hair texture than you? If you genuinely just enjoyed your hair texture. Like, if I'm enjoying my beauty, I'm not worried about somebody else. Like, when I told the story about how I felt beautiful with my little cartoon t-shirt on, I wasn't looking around the grocery store like, oh, what is she wearing? Oh, let me look at her outfit. Oh, my outfit looks better than hers. Her outfit doesn't look good. No, I was too busy enjoying my own beauty expression. But some women have good girl syndrome. So they are becoming a martyr to their own beauty. You see a lot of religious women doing this. Deep down inside, maybe they want to look sexy, but because of their beliefs on modesty, they cannot express that. So they spend their lives not being able to enjoy that aspect of their own beauty. They can't enjoy their sexiness because, they feel like it's forbidden or something like that. So good girl syndrome, that's when you're following what others tell you need to do to be a good girl. So instead of creating your own moral compass, you have been following somebody else's. You've been told that wearing red lipstick, that makes you a Jezebel. If you wear hair extensions, you're self-hating. No, you're self-hating if you hate other people's hair textures. That is actually a form of self-hate. If you hate other people's hair textures within your own racial group, okay, yeah, then that's self-hating. But simply doing a hairstyle, no. You can't prove that that person is self-hating. But your beauty personality, though, it's shaped by your preferences. What colors do you prefer to wear? One of my beauty hobbies, actually, has been finding my top 5 favorite colors. So I'm super excited because I recently discovered that this light mint powdery green, that's one of my favorite colors, actually. So I feel super excited now because now the next time I get something, like as far as clothes, now I get to choose one of my favorite colors. So beauty is also about self-discovery. You want to be able to explore your own beauty. Hey, how do I look with red hair? How do I look with short hair? How do I look with pants on? How do I look with my nails done? With my nails not done? All of that stuff, all of that experimentation, that's a part of how you kind of get to know yourself. That's a form of self-discovery. So this is why you're never going to really hear me discourage women who change their appearance, as long as you are not racist against mixed race women who were born with that appearance. So don't change your hair texture to my hair texture and then get mad and hate on women with my hair texture. As long as you're not doing that, then I don't have a problem. But when it comes to beauty preferences or preferences in general, preferences are just your tendencies, not your fantasies. Okay? Your tendency is what you are manifesting in reality. Your fantasy is what you wish to manifest. So that's why some women, they don't understand that about preferences. Like if a guy says that he has a preference for XYZ, okay, well that's just his tendency. He tends to manifest a dark-skinned black woman, for example. So he's saying that's his preference. A person's fantasy could be different than their preference. So just throwing that out there. But yeah, so your fantasy is what you wish you could manifest, but maybe you haven't. Some men will say that like exoticals are their preference, but that it's actually not their preference because they don't have a tendency to manifest exoticals when it comes to their everyday life. So they've never had access to that kind of woman. That's a fantasy. It's not his tendency, it's just his fantasy. Some men, they talk about the women they prefer in general, but they've never even had a girlfriend. They've never had a woman. No woman has ever even come within 10 feet of him. Okay, so he's speaking out of more of a fantasy. He has limerence over a certain type of woman or whatever. But yeah, that's another video. But some women, they're not able to express their beauty preferences on themselves because they have a bad relationship with the word preference. So they believe that by even using that word, oh, I prefer this makeup, I prefer this hair color, they think that they're creating a hierarchy and rejecting the other thing. But that's not how I view beauty. I don't have a scarcity mindset about beauty. I don't put beauty on a hierarchy like, oh, black hair is more beautiful than blonde hair, and 4C hair is the most beautiful, and everything else is beneath 4C hair. No, I don't do that shit. I don't limit myself like that when it comes to my own beauty. So, beauty preferences, they're not tied to my morals. Okay, my beauty is not a political statement. So, you know how a lot of black women in the 70s, they did their afros and then they made it into a political statement? I don't recommend that because you don't want your beauty, you don't necessarily want it to be attached to a political statement unless you're very into politics, I guess. But I don't view my beauty as political. You know, my beauty is mine. That's literally a part of my creativity. It's literally a part of my self-expression. So no, I don't have to use my beauty or show myself in a certain way to prove to others that I am in solidarity. You know, I've noticed some women, they pressure other black women. They pressure them to only wear their 4C hair in a big afro or whatever in order to show solidarity, or like, you know, I have to represent all the other 4C women. I have to represent this phenotype when I go in public. If you want to do that, that's fine. But if you don't want to do that, that's also fine. And that's fine. You don't have to represent a group. You're not the representative for everybody around the world with your phenotype. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. You can go back and forth with it. You can be fluid. That's how I am. You know, sometimes I represent long black curly hair because that's my natural hair or whatever. But then other times I represent the blonde hair because I just want to change my style and I don't feel guilty. Some women's guilt actually prevents them from expressing their beauty. They feel guilty when they wear a bikini. They feel guilty when they wear a crop top. They feel guilty or they feel naked. They feel exposed. They feel naked and exposed when they wear a belly shirt. They feel naked and exposed when they're wearing makeup because they feel like, you know, it draws more attention. So it causes more people to look at your face, which it does. It causes the eye to be drawn towards that person's features when they wear makeup. This is why some women get scared of makeup. They don't want any attention being drawn to their features. But beauty preferences, they are not tied to my morals at all. Okay, so beauty is a form of creative expression and that's it. I don't have a problem with other women who prefer to look like me, as long as they are not racist against my people. Okay, hating what you prefer, that creates cognitive dissonance. And my theory is that a lot of mental illnesses are actually caused by cognitive dissonance. That's where a lot of mental illnesses begin, is with cognitive dissonance. So for example, if I hate white women and then I walk around with blonde hair, that's cognitive dissonance because I'm refusing to acknowledge their beauty while simultaneously emulating it. Okay, that's not going to help me feel confident in my beauty expression. That's going to make me feel like a fraud. Have you ever noticed that some women with 4C hair, for example, they feel like a fraud when they wear type 3 wigs? Why? Because for some of them, they actually don't like women that are mixed race. And so I've actually heard some of them say on their YouTube channels, I don't wear lace fronts with type 3 hair because I don't want mixed women to think they're cute. I don't want them to see me repping their hair texture. Okay, so they view beauty as a competition, they view hair texture as a competition, and they view it as a hierarchy. So they're trying to only represent their 4C hair or whatever so that they can prove to the world, hey, this is what I think is the prettiest. But yeah, cognitive dissonance and having extreme hypocrisy, that limits you in your beauty expression. It makes you feel like a fraud in that form of beauty. Have you ever been around someone who feels like they can't pull off a certain color? They don't look right with a certain hair texture? Sometimes that comes from cognitive dissonance. I'm only pretty with black hair. I'm only pretty with brown hair. I'm only pretty with blonde hair. So some women feel like by wearing curly hair, they're letting the curly hair girls win by repping their hair textures. So they limit themselves from that form of beauty because they don't want to send the subliminal message that mixed women are beautiful. They feel like by wearing curly hair textures, they're joining the curly girl side and increasing their popularity, which they are. But for me personally, I don't view beauty as a popularity contest. I have no problem with other phenotypes being considered beautiful because, again, I have an abundance mindset when it comes to beauty. I know that beauty is not a monolith. Another woman's beauty doesn't take away from mine. So I don't feel like if I wear a type 4 wig, I don't feel like, oh my God, now I'm showing the type 4 girls that their hair is beautiful. So let me not wear that wig because I don't want them to think they're beautiful. Do you hear how catty that sounds? Do you hear how jealous that sounds? And another thing I want to talk about too is limiting beliefs. So, limiting beliefs can become intertwined with your identity. Some women have limiting beliefs when it comes to their beauty. I can't pull off that hairstyle. I can't get Botox. I can't get fillers. I can't get a BBL. Every woman has boundaries or limits when it comes to her beauty, and that's fine. But you have to remember there is no right or wrong way to be beautiful. So different women have different lengths that they're willing to go to be beautiful. Some women are willing to get a skinny BBL. Some women are willing to get a nose job or whatever. And then there are some women who aren't. Neither one of them is wrong. I do not put natural beauty on a hierarchy above, beauty enhancements. And also another hypocrisy too is that a lot of natural beauty warriors, they're not natural because you wash your hair, you wash your face, you brush your teeth. You weren't born with your teeth flossed. You weren't born hairless. You shave your legs. So I also feel like that's another hypocrisy as well. They'll say, oh, well, I'm more natural, so therefore I'm more beautiful. And it's like, well, technically I could argue that any beauty enhancement, if you don't support beauty enhancements, then stand 10 toes down and don't support any beauty enhancements. So you have to remember that there will always be people who are hypocritical, or the people that shame you for spending money. People are like, oh, these women are going broke because they're trying to spend all their money on beauty. You don't know their bank account. They could have more money than you. They could have a budget. Like I have a whole budget for my beauty. I have a monthly budget for my beauty. So no, I have never been late on rent because I got my nails done. But you don't want to allow other people to control your beauty identity. Don't allow people to project their beauty limits onto you. Like, no, that's your limitation. You can't pull off a bikini. You can't get Botox. Fillers look bad on you. BBLs or whatever looks bad on you. Or for the people that try to police your weight. It's like, no, just because you think a size 4 is too skinny does not mean that I think it's too skinny. That's too skinny for you. That's a boundary and limitation you placed on your beauty. Okay, so you would look like a crackhead at a size 4. I don't. And I've also noticed hair. That's one of the biggest ones. Like, just because you don't allow yourself to wear clip-ins or extensions or whatever, or relaxers or blonde highlights, whatever it is, just because you can't wear that doesn't mean other women can't do it. And I notice that's the main reason women get mad. They're like, wait a minute, if I can't get plastic surgery and feel beautiful, you don't get to either, Kylie Jenner. So I'm going to try to expose you. I'm going to be mean to you. I'm going to make all these blogs and shit about you to try to expose you. So they're trying to punish you. They want to punish you for being beautiful. They punished you for being beautiful. They punished you for attaining your beauty in a way that they don't agree with. They're punishing you because you're on Ozempic or something. I notice a lot of people, they get mad at the Ozempic people. So they're getting mad because you lost the weight by paying $1,000 a month to do the Ozempic. That's not fair. If I have to suffer, you have to suffer. The only reason another woman will try to shame you for your beauty is because she feels outshined by your beauty energetic signature. Some of them will even say things like, you're replacing me, you're outshining me. And they'll try to expose you as a fraud. Why do some women want to expose you as a beauty fraud? Well, it's because they want to take you off the beauty pedestal that you created for yourself. That's why they're calling out that you have makeup on. That's why they're trying to say, that's not her natural face. That's not her natural hair color. They're hoping that by telling the world that you're not that pretty, that it will take away from your beauty pedestal. But we all know over here that cancel culture doesn't work. Anyway, what do you ladies think? What is your beauty identity? What is your feminine identity? What feminine hobbies do you have? What beauty hobbies do you have? Let me know in the comment section, and I'll talk to you next time. Stay pretty, ladies.